Very, very, very sick in the NICU, and they told us in the beginning they didn't think he would make it. So a very scary time in my life. And we started taking him to a chiropractor for his hips. And after we'd seen an orthopedist, pediatric orth, I don't know, all these names. Then we had doctor, right, for his little hips. At 2 months old, they told us you need to take him in to have him fitted for braces. He'll have to wear them for a year because his hips just are not staying where they need to be. So we took him to the chiropractor. The next morning, took him again. Then we brought him to Dallas down here to have him fitted for the braces. They took him back for the ultrasound, brought him back out, and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. His hips are perfect. And my husband and I just looked at each other like, what the heck? And so we said, thank you, see you later. We took our baby and off we went. And we just continued to get him adjusted. Noticed that his asthma started getting better. He was on 8 breathing treatments a day. Had to wake him at night because he would turn hypoxic and do all this crazy stuff. And we started noticing some changes. And of course he had antibiotics, steroids, all this into this poor baby system. And so that changed a lot for us. My husband started going to the chiropractor because he had severe migraines. And so the chiropractor walked in one day and said, so when are you going to chiropractic college? He's like, I never thought of that, but maybe I should. And he did. And things went well. We loved it. We got out. We practiced together. I worked for a chiropractor down here when we moved down here for school. And so I stayed in chiropractic and worked as an assistant. When he graduated, we bought a practice and transitioned over to our practice. And I ran that until 2006 or 7, I don't know. And then I decided I would go back to chiropractic college, which was craziness. But I did. I had what I thought was grown-up kids, right? They were like 6, 4, 3, and 2 maybe, or 3, 2, and 1. I don't know. I thought they were big. And so I left my husband staying at home with the kids in Oklahoma as I drove back and forth. And yes, I drove for 9 trimesters back and forth to Dallas to go to school. It was something I wanted, and I wanted it badly, and I did it. I used my driving time as my study time. I'd go home at night, record my notes, and in the background you hear kids screaming, Mom, can I come in? You're on my little note recorder. So I did that, and I used that to study as I drove back and forth to school, which is what got me through that, got me through boards and all that other stuff. And so I graduated and went back and started practicing with my husband. And then I kind of got thrown into the mix when he had a gout flare-up, which was really weird because my husband's not a big meat eater and not a drinker, but gout flared up in his split and he was out of commission for 12 weeks. So I got thrown into the practice literally, which scared the bejesus out of me at first. I was like, oh my gosh, even though I've been doing that for so long. And so I've seen every side of it. I've seen the CA side, I've seen the office manager side, now I'm doing the doctor side. And so I can probably answer a lot of questions that you have. You guys are basically, am I right that y'all want to go out and open a practice, right? Most all of you? Okay, cool. It's a fun way to do things. And probably one of the most important things I would say is that you need to decide from the beginning what you want to do and start out that way. It's so much easier to start with what you want than to go, well, maybe I'll settle for this, or, oh, hopefully this will work, and then have to go change it when you realize, I really don't want that. Some of those things to think about are insurance or not. Do you want to do insurance or do you not? I really believe in chiropractic. There's a place for all of it. I'm not mine and my husband's personalities are really different. I'm very out there, and I think he's coming to speak with y'all maybe next week or the week after, I don't know. But he's very methodical, and he'll probably have a PowerPoint presentation that wouldn't surprise me. He's got it all down to an art. I'm very just out there, right? I just enjoy life, love things, love people, educate. I love to educate my patients, and so we're really totally different. But that makes a good mix. You have to find out where your personality is and how you want to run things and start out that way, because that makes a big difference in where you're at long term. They'll save you a whole lot of heartache. For instance, we started out in closed room adjusting. How many of you guys closed or open room? Do you care? Does anybody know, or do you know the difference? Semi? Yeah, okay. My husband at first was like, no way. No way am I doing open adjusting. Not doing it. It's fine with me, whatever you want to do. And so we started out closed room adjusting. And then one day he said, he takes a trip to Destin, Florida once a year with a whole bunch of other chiropractors. And he said, y'all heard Dr. Rick Rand speak the other day, right? He's one of the ones that go with them. And he's one that did a little bit of training with my husband. But anyway, he was heading to Destin, and he goes, I think I might want to go open adjusting. So being the crazy one that I am, when he come back, it was open adjusting. And I went in and tore all the walls out, put new carpet down, and he come back to an open adjusting room. And he was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. But he loved it. And so we practiced in that practice with open adjusting for a long time. And then we moved our location. And it is even more open. When you walk through my front doors, my front desk is right there. My waiting room is over here. There's a little half wall. I do therapy and rehab in my practice, so that's right here. And here's hot seats, and there's my 3 adjusting tables. There's a 2 bookshelves about this tall that divides the center. And then I have a hallway with rooms on it that we do exams in and consults and all that stuff. That is my personality. I love to know what's going on everywhere, and I can listen. I can be focused on my adjusting, and when I stop between that patient, they can ask me a question, and I know what's going on, and I can do that. My husband's not, it kind of throws him off a bit more than it does me when we talk about, I can see everything that's going on and know exactly what's going on in my practice at all times. And I love that. That works for me. That may not work for you. But if you decide that's what you want, go for it. Go visit offices that are each way and go, hey, there's pros and cons to all of them. And I believe whatever fits your personality is the best way to go. For me, open and wide open works for me. I love kids. I do a lot of pediatrics and pregnant women, along with a lot of families. And I got old people, I got young people. It doesn't really matter to me. But having the open concept just works for me. If any of you guys ever want to come to my office, I'll leave y'all my email address and my contact information. You are more than happy to come to my practice. It's 90 miles from here, so it's not that far. Don't tell me it's that far because I drove it for a long time. So you can drive up there and see what I do. I see average 175 to 200 patients a week, so I don't have a really busy practice, but busy enough, you know, it works. I would like to see more, but that's where I am at this point in my life, so we're going to roll with it. But anytime y'all want to come up and check it out and do other things to consider is whether you want, you know, your hours. What do you want to work? Do you want to work 5 days a week or 6 days a week for the rest of your life? If you do, that's okay. And I know doctors that do that, and that's totally fine. That is not me. I have 5 kids and a husband, and I like to travel, and I like to do things. I do not want to work 6 days a week. I work 3.5 days a week. I work all day Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and half a day on Tuesday. So Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I see patients from 8 to 6. Tuesday, I see patients from 3 to 6. That works for me. And so if that's what you want to do not think that you cannot do that. You can start out your practice that way if that's what you want to do. Just set it out there. Be sincere about your rules and why you do things and the reason you're doing it. Throw it out there, and the people will do what you ask them to do. I found that is more than true. And how surprising you are sometimes when you go, look, hey, I need you to do this, or I want you to do that, or you need to pay that, and they just do it. Because they want what we have. We have an amazing art and an amazing philosophy, and we live in amazing bodies that do some really cool things. And if we throw that out there to our patients and go, look, this is what we do, take it or leave it, right? Have y'all heard Dr. Jill's little motto that he says sometimes, some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. That's kind of the philosophy that I've adapted. I'm going to give you the truth as if you were my brother, mother, sister, father, and then you can choose to do with it what you want. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't want to come under my care. That's okay. You need it. I've told you what you need, and that's where we're going to roll, right? Insurance or not insurance. That's another game you need to decide if you want to play, and it is a game to play. I will not tell you for a second it's not a game to play, because it is. I do some insurance in Oklahoma. Personal injury is easy to do because we can file liens and things like that, so it's easy. And so I don't mind doing personal injury patients. I enjoy them actually because they're just kind of fun people sometimes. They're a little crazy and a little quirky most of the time, and you know that's okay. I need crazy and quirky in my world sometimes, but they need help too. And I really try hard to, because they're not the easiest patients to convert into wellness care. Do I have wellness care doctors in here? Most of you? Okay. Most of y'all get adjusted very regularly, tell me? Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. So I can talk that direction, right? I can talk about subluxations and why we need to get adjusted and why it's important to take care of our health and all that. That's okay? All right, good. just tell it to roll with pain, right? And you know, we do have to learn where to start and where to end. But I start wellness care from the moment they walk through my door. And not just on my forms and that kind of thing, right? Yeah, I'm sure y'all have heard people go, you got to start from your forms and what you say on the phone and all that. Yeah, that's true. You know, you got to be consistent. But there's kind of two camps, right? So there's a camp that says, oh, you can't talk about pain, you can't mention pain, oh my gosh, you became a pain clinic, you know? And then there's the camp that goes, oh, that's all I do is pain, right? I kind of live in the middle. And I think for me that has worked because patients come through my door for pain. I think I've had maybe 3 patients who come through my door and said, hey, you know, I feel pretty good, don't really have any complaints or problems, just want to have my spine checked. Okay, that's cool, let's roll with it, let's do that. But that's about 3 out of 3 years. You know, this does not happen very often. Most of the time it's because they have a complaint. But I start out with that, and in my consultation, I talk about, you know, I understand this is why you're here, and that we're having, you know, you're having these issues. And I explained, did Dr. Ren pre-frame for you guys? I figure he did. I kind of use that same model. Of course, I've done it a little different because, again, I'm not the strict script Nazi, right? I think scripts are good, and we live on scripts, right? Our world is scripts. If my husband says, I love you, what do I say back? I love you too. It's a script, right? It's, you know, that's kind of how we live. But I'm not a very strict script girl, right? So I have the general idea, but I tell patients, you know, this is what you come in for. I understand. I want to find out what their motivating factor is. So why, I understand you've had radiating arm pain for 4 months. Why today did you come in? Like what in your life changed? Or what did you realize you can't do anymore? Or did you just get tired of it? Or what happened? Why today? Why did you choose today to change something that's been going on for months or years, right? So I want to find out that motivating factor. Many times it's I was afraid I'm not going to be able to work. If it's men, I'm not going to be able to work anymore. I can't, you know, do the things that I like to do. Women, it's like I can't hold my grandkid anymore, or I'm afraid this is going to happen. And so you want to know that motivating factor. And I talk to them about that, and I write that down so that when 4 months down the road, I can go, hey, so how's it going with your grandkids? You able to live? Yeah, oh, it's perfect, it's great. And you go, perfect, that's why we need to continue on with what we're doing. And so we got to remind them that. And then I show them, you know, if you get misalignments, where they are and what problems it could have. And one thing that they don't do in the pre-frame that I do is because I do see a lot of kids, I tell patients, look, most adults that come in my office, they come in for these problems over here on the yellow chart, you know, with the nerves. Numbness, pain, weakness, aching, tingling, whatever. On this chart over here, this is why I see most kids. Most kids don't have pain, but they have one of 2 things. Either a parent who has decided, I want to take care of my child's spine, even though they may not have any outward symptoms, or they have earaches, ear infections, asthma, allergies, stomach disorders, bedwetting, whatever the problem may be. It really doesn't matter what the problem is. If we fix your nervous system, then your body is going to work better, and you're going to work better, or your child is going to work better and function better. We got to open up the communication from the brain out to the body. And I start there. And I tell them my goals for you are a couple of things. To take such good care of you, you send your friends. I want you to send your friends and family here because not many people tell what we do and the good work that we do. And people need to know that. And secondly, yeah, my train just derailed. Hold tight. Oh, well, we'll come back to that because I just totally forgot where I was going. Anyway, so I want them to know what I do and what I do. Secondly, I want them to, we want to find your peak potential, right? So I start on day 1 telling them, hey, let's find where your body functions at its best. Because sometimes it's an 80-year-old man who's like this, coming in my clinic. Well, your potential is not that of the 15-year-old that was in here an hour ago, right? We're totally different potentials here. But let's find your peak potential. How well can we get your body to function? And then let's talk about how you're going to keep it there. And I start that out on day 1. I want them to know that I'm talking about, and I do have patients that go, Doc, do you want people to come forever? Absolutely. I get adjusted forever, and I will forever. And I want you to do the same because that's what's good for your body. One other analogy that I use sometimes that people go, oh, I never thought of that, is your spine and your body works like everything else in life. If you clean your house today and don't do it for another month, what happens? And they go, oh gosh, you know, because all of us know that, right? Oh man, yeah, exactly. It falls apart, don't it? It gets disastrous and messy and all that. If you decide you want to gain 15 pounds of muscle at the gym, and you go to the gym and you work your tail off for 4 months and you gain your 15 pounds of muscle and you quit, what happens? And they go, yeah, you lose it. Exactly. Same thing happens in your body. If we work on you and take care of you and get your body functioning well, and then you quit, it's okay if that's what you choose. But if you really want to live your highest potential, you got to continue to work on that spine and on that body because it will continue to serve you well if you do. So no qualms about it. I just throw it out there. The other thing that, no, I didn't tell me, okay. The other thing about insurance versus non-insurance. If you decide you want to do insurance, I think that's fine. Like I said before, I mean, I do some insurance. It's probably half my practice, maybe even a little more than half, because I'm on the two biggest, well, three, Medicare. The other one is Blue Cross, which pays well in my area and it has pretty good benefits for the patient. The third one is Health Choice. That is a state insurance, which is not state like Medicaid, but state as in our professors at the college and our state employees and all the teachers have Health Choice, so I'm on their insurance. And they all have, I'm not gonna go on an insurance that pays me $7 a visit or something stupid like that. I'm not willing to do that. Am I willing to cut my fee a little bit? Yeah, I'll do that in order to help them out. And so, but what I do that's different than some, and I think makes a big difference in the long run, is when I give the patient their plan. So they come for their day one and I do all of their exploration, if you will. I exams and x-rays or whatever I want to do, or whatever you choose to do, scans or whatever, and that you do on day one to find out, can you help them, right? Most of us know, 99.9% of the people that come through that door, we're helping because that's what we do. But you're letting them know on that second visit, if you can help them, what it's going to take, how long it's going to take, and what it's going to cost. That's really all they want to know. Sometimes they don't want to know what's wrong. You've already told them, we're looking for subluxations. If you have misalignments in your spine, bone's not moving properly. And I throw all of those terms out there. And I think all those terms are okay to use, in my opinion. I like the word subluxation and I use it in my office, but I also use, you have a subluxation, a misalignment, a bone not moving properly, your nervous system not functioning right. I throw all those things out there all the time. So they keep getting these different words over and over. But when I look at their plan, and I tell them on day two, you do have subluxations, and here's where you have problems, and here's what your posture's doing, and this is what your curve looks like, and you have degeneration here and there, and these are the challenges that we have to work with. And then I give them their plan. I don't go, your insurance will cover 10 visits, so we're going to see you for 10 visits. Or your insurance is going to cover 10 visits, so we're going to see you for 12, right? Or let's just see how it works. Let's just see you for 6 visits, and we'll see how it goes, right? Because those people are shooting out your door when they're feeling better in 6 visits because we're awesome, right? People just feel better when we adjust them and they go, oh, well, dang, that worked, and they're out the door. But they've really got no correction to their spine and no consistency. And so I give them their plan that says, hey, this is everything you need, and this dollar amount is what your insurance will contribute. And then they don't have to worry about that. They're not concerned with, after 15 visits, their insurance doesn't pay anymore. And they think, oh, well, now it's all my responsibility, right? If you give it to them all in one lump sum, then they go, oh, that's not so bad. I can handle that, I can do that. That seems to work well for me. And I do plans from 2 months to a year. It really depends on them, their spine, what they do for a living, what they look like, how committed they are, all of those things. And I do some rehab in my practice. Some practices don't, and that's okay too. If you just adjust, give them their adjustment plan and go, here's what you need to do. I give them their adjustment or rehab plan, or their, even some modalities. We do some modalities in the very beginning if they're having muscle spasms or tetanus or tingling or whatever. I'll do some things in the very beginning. I don't usually do that real long, but I give them that. It's all on one plan. And then I give them options for payments. In my state, we can't accept prepayments, and so I do. And if they want to prepay, that's cool. And I'll let them do that. If they don't, they can go on monthly payments or, whatever. Some people like to divide it in every other week payments because that's how they get paid, and that's okay too. But that's one thing to think. I think that makes a big difference in how well patients stay with you, okay? And then re-exams also, doing periodic re-exams makes a big difference in reconnecting with that patient, because we can get disconnected. We're there with them, but we're only there for 2 or 3 or 5 minutes, right? And so if we can reconnect with them on a re-exam, and we do a graph chart that shows them, we give a point value for every test that we do. And so, I do teeny tiny bit of orthopedic, 2 or 3 orthopedic tests usually. And then I'll do range of motion, pain on palpation, leg length inequality, those kind of things. And then any scans that we do, we assign a point value to it. So when they come in, I go, okay, they had 90 tests that were abnormal, if you will. And then after re-exam 1, we're at 60 or 40. Usually it's more like 50 and then like 10. It's like whoosh, this huge jump that first 12 visits, we see a huge jump. And I give them a report. This is where we are. These are the challenges you're still having. This is why we need to continue like we are. And we're going to reduce your schedule, see how you do. I tell them if you have any increases in problems that you need to let me know about, then make sure you tell me so that we can adjust your schedule if we need to. And then I do, when it's time for me to change them to another schedule, I do another re-exam. And each 12 to 18 visits, I'll do a re-exam and check their progress, see how they're doing. At the end, about 3 or 4 visits before we get to the end. And of course, every visit or re-exam, if I get a chance, I'm telling them why they need continued chiropractic care and why they need to take care of their spine and how it takes care of them. But when we get to that end, what we call the end of treatment schedule, I go in and I have the same thing. I've got the graph, it's got all the stuff in there. I talk to them about the vital components of being healthy and how to keep their nerve system healthy. And about 3 days before, I give them a pamphlet. It's actually one that I get here at Parker, that tells, why you should continue care and why you should take care of your spine. And I tell them that, look, you spent a lot of time, money, and energy in getting your spine up and running. Your symptoms are gone. You feel better. You have more energy. You've not been sick. And if you want to continue that trend, then you need to continue with chiropractic care. And I remind them of the.
It's all right.
I remind them of. Yeah, I usually talk pretty loud. I remind them of the reasons why they came in, for one, because they forget that sometimes. So I always write that down. Because I go, you haven't mentioned having a headache. And you used to get them every day. So how come you get them now? Oh, I haven't had a headache in weeks. Oh, that's fantastic. You should tell all your friends. How cool is that? Aren't you glad so-and-so referred you in? How would you have known, right? You'd still be over there getting headaches and taking medications, And I'm playful and fun like that with my patients. But it worked, that kind of stuff works out for me. So that's kind of the road I keep traveling until it doesn't work anymore. We'll go somewhere else. I start with that, and then when I go into wellness care, I convert almost every patient that continues through their care. If they don't drop out somewhere in the early part, they go into wellness care. I have a huge wellness care base. And so I don't have to have very many patients a week to continue seeing about the same number of visits. Now, granted, if I had more patients and more conversions, I could see more, which would be great. But I think that helps in constantly talking about wellness care and why they need to continue on with that after they're done with their pain, right? And I think that's what kind of keeps me in the middle. Not focused on pain, not, oh my gosh, we can't talk about that, but somewhere in the middle, right? What do I have on my list? Anything else you guys have questions about? Sure, someone's got a question. Oh, I can also talk about family plans. I do have family plans in my practice because I do, like I said, see kids and like to see families. They're the funnest, when you got the mom and dad and 5 kids rolling in. Everybody's like, where in the world? Those kids are getting adjusted? Why are they getting adjusted? Perfect opportunity. And guess what? I got a waiting room, a therapy bay, and an adjusting bay that I can all tell why those kids need to get adjusted. That's another reason that I like it being really open. I may have a new patient sitting out there that I'm explaining why this kid needs to get adjusted. And that definitely helps to start educating those patients. I don't have the, there's the people out there, why are you adjusting kids? And why would you do that? And I think we kind of attract that stuff to ourselves if we're afraid of that. But once you push forward through that, it never happens, right? I never had anybody come in my office and go, I can't believe you're adjusting a kid. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. They don't even show up. First, because they probably know I'll be like, hit the road, Jack. If you don't like what I do, get out of here. I got other stuff to do. I don't have time for you. But the things that we can confront and are secure about, we rarely have any confrontation from patients about that. You might have it happen 1 or 2 times, but when you stand up and go, look, this is what I believe and this is why, or this is why I do what I do, then that never shows up again, right? It just goes out the window. I'm sure we have x-ray in our office, and that was one of the things when we first had x-ray. My husband's like, what if people say they don't want to get x-ray because they're afraid of this or afraid of that, or they don't want to pay for it or whatever? And I'm like, when you tell them this is what we're gonna do, then just let them make a choice. You can either pay for it and stay and get it done, or you can go somewhere else. And that's okay. If they don't want to get that done, I promise you there's 3 or 4 other chiropractors down the street that will just crumble underneath the table and go, oh, yeah, all right, no x-rays, fine, good, let's get moving, right? But I have way more patients than that come into my office that go, I went to this other chiropractor, and I'm not going to mention any names, but he didn't x-ray or nothing. He just laid me on the table and started cracking stuff, and it kind of freaked me out. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. But not all chiropractors are the same. I do things totally different. I will educate you, I'll teach you what I'm doing, and I will tell you what's going to happen and how we're going to go forward. I won't surprise you with anything, even money. That's another one. I worked for a chiropractor who surprised people with money at the front desk, and that's very uncool when you're the CA front, right? So I was up there and I go, oh, that'll be $150 today. What? You know, they're like, $150? What do you tell me it's gonna cost that much? Don't ever do that to your staff. That's cruel and unusual punishment. And you should never do that. Even if it's your wife, don't do that to her. That's so uncool. I tell my patients in the room before we get anything done, this is what it's gonna cost. You'll be expected to pay that today, which you also get started. I learned that from Dr. Rim. And I do it, man, it works like a charm. If they go, hey, I don't have any money, I have later today. I'm dying, you know, blah, blah, blah. Poor little lady, I feel sorry for her. She's like my age, and she's like dying over here. Right side of her body's over here. And I go, you know, went through the pre-frame, talked about what was going on, and why she needed to get adjusted, what we need to do, and I said, your fee for today will be $195. We need to pay that before you go. If you're ready to get started, we'll get started. I don't have any money. I just want to go work. You come to a doctor's office with zero money. Zero money. And I go, I understand. I said, so you don't have anything that you can contribute today? Because, you know, if they have half of it, sometimes, if I think they're sincere, you know, I'll let them pay half, and then I'll put the other half on their treatment plan. She goes, no, I have no money, zero today. Well, I'll tell you what, since you don't have any cash with you today, let's go ahead and head up front. We'll get you an appointment made after you get paid or when you can gather up, you know, the funds that you need, and you can come right on back in. We've already got all the consultation and all that done out of the way. It won't take long, we'll get started. That'd be perfect. Walk up the front, I tell my front desk girl, hey, she didn't have any cash with her today or any money anybody paid. So she's gonna, you know, make an appointment for next week, or sometimes they'll say, oh, I'll get paid next Friday, I can come in then. They never show that up. I think I've had that happen once. Yeah. Because they're just gonna be a pain in your butt in the beginning anyway. So let them be a pain in somebody else's time, right? Not yours. So sometimes just mosey them on down the road. And I know that seems kind of harsh, you know what I mean? Because I'm the chiropractor who gets called on the weekend. My husband is not. People don't call him on the weekend. People don't, you know, I'll wait till Monday, which is fine, because that's his personality. I work during these hours. Come see me then, right? I'm the one who gets the call on the weekend. My baby's sick, will you meet at the office? I fell off a ladder, I'm loving, I'm kind. I do that for patients who do what they're supposed to do. If you're taking care of yourself and you're making your regular visits and you have a tragedy or a fall or you come down with a migraine, by all means call me. If I'm in town, I'll meet you there. When I was in a seminar just this past weekend or weekend before, I got a text, Dr. Janna, this is Shay, I can't open my mouth. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm in Atlanta. I'll be back on Sunday afternoon, I'll call you then. He's like, no problem, I'll wait on you. And I got home Sunday, I texted him, he met me there. When I got home from the airport, I met him at the clinic, I adjusted him. He's like, oh my God, I don't know what I did, you know. But, you know, for those kind of people who do what they're supposed to do, I am there all the way 100%. For those who don't come in for 3 months and then call you, my back's killing me. I'll be in the practice on Monday, see you then. You know, I do for those who do what's right for themselves. And I will help them out if that's, you know, what they need.
Can you talk a little bit about the experience of buying a practice?
Okay. My husband and I bought a practice there in Durant. And the chiropractor that was there, he was the one who surprised people with money, right? So we had some work to do on transit. He had no how, like, he would show up for like an hour late for work, you know, and we're in there going, let's turn the therapy up. We'll give you 25 minutes of therapy today, you know, because like, what do? You know, they're off therapy and you're going, he should be right here, yeah, he's busy, you know, it's like, oh my God. And so we had some work to do to transition over, but it really went really smoothly. We actually paid him for the equipment that was in the practice. We paid him for the accounts receivable, and basically the patient files. And we got a really good deal on that. I think, you know, every practice is different. We're in a rural town, you know, so we only paid like $90,000. And there was an x-ray machine, processor, probably 6 therapy tables, adjusting tables, and $150,000 in account receivable that no one had ever collected, which I was a pro at. So as soon as he was out of practice, man, I was collecting up. Girl, I was like, I got this going on. And like we paid for our practice by just collecting on old accounts. Right? Insurance stuff, I'd done insurance for a long time, so I knew how to do it. I jumped in there and got it done. I mean, it was a beautiful thing for us. Transition really wasn't that bad. you know, patients stayed with us. And I think when you explain things in the beginning of what you're doing and why you're doing it, people just kind of go with it, you know, there's nowhere else to go. But we did make sure that we went through an attorney and make sure that the I don't know what you call it, the contract and all that stuff was appropriate and, you know, what it should be and all that. And then we just brought the money and went from there. Luckily my grandparents had 10 acres that they let us lean on to, because we didn't have credit or any money, you know, we're out of school, we had nothing. But they let us do that and that worked for us.
How long do you have to spend time with each patient, like a session wise?
For an adjustment?
Yeah.
It really depends on like where they are in care and what's going on with them. I get kids in there, it takes me 2-3 minutes to adjust them, you know, and I get them adjusted and head out. And then I've got the old lady who's, I need to talk to you about this and that. And if I have time, my patients are very respectful of my time. And if they know there's no one behind them, they may go, hey, can I ask you a question? But when I get patients to commit to care, I tell them, now look, we're in an open adjusting area, so there's a lot of other patients around, I understand that. If you have something come up that you need to talk to me in private about, call before you come, and we'll set you a different appointment time, so that you and I can sit down in a room and nobody can hear what you gotta say. And they go, oh, that's great. They never do. I mean, it's rare that somebody calls. Most of the time, they'll either just kind of go like, hey, you know that constipation I have, but, you know, I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on with that. But most of the time, I rarely have. And so I spend maybe 4 to 5 minutes a patient usually, unless I have the poor old lady that I feel sorry for, and, you know, we talk for 10 or 15 minutes because there's no one else rolling up behind me, you know. Then I'll do that, but most of the time 4 or 5 minutes is all I spend. I spend more time on day 1 and day 2, usually half an hour on day 1, and usually half an hour on day 2, and then re-exams usually 10, 15 minutes, or EOT reports when I'm, you know, talking to them about wellness care, usually about 15 minutes, because I've kind of trained them to do that, and so that goes pretty fast. Yep. No problem.
So it sounds like from what I've heard, you're very pro open.
I am.
Closed. Can you tell us, in your opinion, why is that?
For me, it works better for a couple of reasons. If I get that old lady in the room who needs to talk, I don't know what's out there waiting on me. And so I'm kind of like, there might be people waiting on me to get out there, you know, and I don't really want to sit and chat, you know. And we have done like open door, where the doors stay open, where we can know a little bit more about what's going on. But that's in that room, they're going to start talking. And you can't get out there, and you don't want to be rude, like. And sometimes we're talking about crap that don't matter. You know, you're like, this don't matter. We don't need to be talking about this right now. I got stuff to do. I don't care about the weather. I don't care about football. I don't care about all that stuff. I got stuff to do. And so that kind of gets you out of that real easy. And then secondly, I like to educate in an open. I think the more we educate our patients on all different topics, the better they're going to be, the more likely they are to send friends and family in. And when they see other people getting adjusted, or they go, why are you adjusting your foot? Because I work on some extremities and different things like that. Why are you adjusting your foot? Well, because they're a problem with the foot. We've taken care of theirs, and I start, don't get me wrong, I don't start with, oh, doc, my arm hurts, well, let me go work on your arm. We're going to work on your spine. We're going to wake up that nervous system and see what it does. And I tell patients that we're going to start with the spine and the nervous system and see what happens. If in 2 or 3 weeks you're still having elbow pain, well, we'll go to the elbow and see what's there. Because maybe you have some trigger points that need to be worked on, or maybe you have a subluxated elbow or whatever, then we'll go there. But that's not where spine first, everything else. Let's see how your body can handle it on its own. And if it can't, we may need to give it a little extra help. And if we need to do that, then we'll do that. I was a massage therapist too. So, you know, that kind of, sometimes I'm like, ooh, everyone needs to be worked on, you know, because it does. You know, I do everything I can with the spine. I make sure that their bones are moving properly and their nervous system is awake, and then down the road, if I need to add a little here or there, then I do. Or I'll send them to massage therapists and practice. You have some work you need to have done. And you still have some stuff going on. Let's get that handled. You're welcome. About 10 minutes?
From the perspective of working for a chiropractor, what advice would you give to us other than don't surprise people about money? about finding a good staff, having a good working relationship with your doctor.
I have done, we've done interview processes a couple of different ways. We've done individual interviews, which is tedious sometimes. And because I'm a little ADD sometimes, I'll be like, who is that patient? Who is that? Who is that? No, my husband's like detail oriented. He can tell you everything we've done for the last 22 years we've been married. And when and why and where and how and all that stuff. Me, I'm like, we went to Atlanta once, did we? You know, I'm just kind of how I am. And so that does not work real well with me because I'm like, I don't even remember that person. I don't, you know, over a week I'm doing interviews. I can't remember who I talked to on Monday. So I like to do a group interview. So I have all employees apply in person with a resume, and my staff just kind of goes, you know, they were clean, they were friendly, they were nice, or they were on fire because they've been smoking in the, you know, on their way in the door, or flick the cigarette on the front, you know, sidewalk as they came in, or their hair looked like a disheveled, or they had dirty clothes on, or, you know, kind of give me some notes, kind of where they are. And the ones that we think are best, we call them in for an interview, a group interview. And I talk about chiropractic, I pre-frame subluxation, I tell them what I do, and then I go, if you're not interested, you can feel free to leave. Not gonna hurt my feelings, no hard feelings. This is not a job for you, you can feel free to leave. I've only had that happen once. Got up and bolted, man. She was out that door. I was like, man, I'm gonna scare her to death. But most people, you know, hang around and like, that's really intriguing and interesting, you know, and I like the concept, and I get to educate them on chiropractic, which turns out patients for me a lot of times. And then I do like one-on-one interviews with them and just ask them some questions about who they are and what they want and what they're looking for. I personally like to have people in my practice who are willing to learn. And I've learned, I don't mean this to sound ugly, but I've learned, you know, you get the person that comes in that's got 40 degrees and 100 reasons why they can run your practice well. And then you've got the girl who's like, you know, I just like people. And I like to be around people, and I'm kind, and I'm efficient, and I tend to lean that direction. Even if they don't have the degrees or don't seem as smart, if you will, they tend to be better employees. They tend to want to learn. They have an eagerness. You feel the girl that I have right now who's super sweet and a great employee. She does anything I ask her to do, and is always kind. Always, you know, she's the one who babies me, if you will. She's like, oh, Dr. Jenny, need some water? You know, here's your water. I brought you some water. You know, she's just like that. But she's dyslexic, and she had trouble in school. Didn't make real good grades. Wasn't the top of the class, but fantastic CA. She's not looking to go to college. She didn't think she could make it in college, and because she barely made it to high school, right? But she's a great employee. She does exams. She does X-rays for me. She educates patients. She does everything I want her to do. So she's got the knowledge and the want to, and then I have to work on her self-esteem sometimes. To go, you know what? You can do that if you want to. You know, if you wanted to go to college, you probably could. You know, I don't know if I can. She's been with me a little over a year, and we're working on it. But she's still young. But I tend to lean more toward people's hearts and less toward their qualifications, if you will. And if they've ever worked in another chiropractor's office, I'll run them off the wind. I'm like, no, I don't want to have to re-educate. Well, my other chiropractor used to do this, and my other one did. That's a hard one. I'd really have to be hard pressed to hire someone who's worked for another chiropractor. That's kind of a re-education thing. Now, granted, I got hired when I worked for another chiropractor, so, but that's the process that I do, and I kind of look for is really the heart of the person and how I jive with them. And I tell them from the front, from the beginning, I don't do drama. If you do drama, hit the road, because I will fire you that quick for having drama in my office. I don't do it. And they go, oh yeah, she ain't playing either. I don't do the, oh my God, she said this, she said that, he went there. I don't have time for that. And they know it from the get-go. And so I think that keeps me from hiring dramatic people. Because in my group interview, that's exactly how I said, I don't do drama. So if you're dramatic and you want to talk about other girls behind their back, because it's usually females, you know, in CA offices, not always, but most of the time. If you want to be the backbiter and she hurt my feelings and she didn't do this and I didn't do that, I don't want no part of it. So don't even stay, because you won't last. And I think being just, again, serious and upfront makes a big difference. Serious and upfront with everybody, patients, employees, other doctors in the office. I think it goes a long way. Being kind but serious and upfront.
Do you adjust the people helping in your office for free, or do you have them?
I do. No, I do adjust them for free. And I adjust their immediate family that lives in our home for free. I want them to make getting adjusted a priority. And I put them on a schedule just like I do everybody. I x-ray them. Day one, if they're not a patient already, if they've not been a patient, day one is exam and x-ray for you. Day two is report of findings for you. And day two is you get your first adjustment. If you're not willing to do that, it's probably not gonna work out in my office. And so but I've never had anybody go, oh, I want to get adjusted. You know, they're like, oh yes, I get free chiropractic care. I'm like, yeah, it's a great benefit because we don't offer insurance or benefits or anything. You have sick days? Absolutely not. If you're sick, come to the office and get adjusted, and then go home and rest. I'll give you the supplements you need. I'll give you the adjustment you need. Go home and rest. That's your sick leave. And no, I don't pay you for that. And guess what? They never miss one. They never get sick. I think Amber's missed one day and it was like 3 days ago. She missed. And I kind of go, you need to stay home. She's like, cough, 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 cough. We've gone to Atlanta and back. And she kind of got some kind of dry cough thing. And I'm like, we're going to adjust you. Here's these vitamins. Take them and go home. And feel better tomorrow. And she did. She called me at noon. I so wish I had a vehicle because I would so be there. I feel so much better. Okay, good. But yes, I just them in our immediate family because I want that for them. I want them to get adjusted, and I want their family to understand what I do and why I do what I do, and see the benefits of where their rest of their family, is working and benefiting it. Because sometimes there is, you need to say like you get files finished, or I don't want someone's like at 6 o'clock I gotta go, I gotta hit the road. That's not what it is. It's about the patients and it's about our practice. You must be there. We work 3.5 days a week. Get over it. If you have to stay an hour late, you can just stay an hour late. It'll be fine. Yes.
Are there things that you do, like be involved with the community, like to kind of promote chiropractic?
I do some things. One of the main things that I do is dinner lectures. Of course, you can tell I like to talk, right? And I talk 1,000 miles an hour. But I do a lot of dinner lectures, and where I live, there is honestly not a lot of opportunity. We have Walmart. Yeah, that's about it. We have the biggest thing that we have is the Choctaw Event Center. Have any of y'all been up there? Straight at 75? There's the Choctaw Gaming Center, and then they have the Event Center. My husband just went and saw Boston there. And, I went and saw George Jones, I think was the last time I saw there. But anyway, they have events there from time to time. And I'll send my staff out there. Sometimes I'll go and we'll put out a box and just have patients sign up for a free dinner lecture on natural health or on, 5 ways to live to your old age. Just whatever I want to make up. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're talking on. It's the same thing. I change my title on my talk. That's all I have to change. You know what I mean? How to stay healthy. You come up with 150 things to talk on. It's the same talk. You're telling them how to take care of the body. They need to be getting adjusted. You need to do this, 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 and this. So I just, whatever I feel like I want to attract people on, I'll put it on there. And so we'll put it on our sign, and then we'll have people sign up. And then we have a couple different local restaurants there that have a room. You have to have a room that's kind of secluded. And I set up my projector and my computer, and I invite them in. I pay for their dinner. And when we call them, and again, if you guys want the script on that, email me. I'll totally give it to you. And I'll give you anything you want out of my office. I'm like that. If it's something I've made, you are more than welcome to. My financial plans, my treatment schedule, I don't care. Whatever it is, if you want any of that, you call me and go, hey, you got anything on this? I'll give you what I got. Reports of findings, travel cards, all that kind of stuff. But we call them and say, hey, you signed up for a free dinner lecture, you won. Everybody who's a good candidate wins, right? I mean, you didn't check on the bottom, I want nothing to do with natural health care, so hey, you're winning. You're a winner. You live close, you're a winner. And so we call them up and say, hey, you signed up for a free dinner lecture, you won. We're gonna be doing it this night, at this time. Dr. Janna's gonna be talking on this subject. You can bring 3 people with you. Who would you like to bring? And they go, oh gosh, really? And here's what's gonna happen. Dr. Janna's gonna come in, you guys are gonna order. We need to be there at 6:15. You're gonna order your food. And Dr. Janna will come in and talk about 30 to 45 minutes. Your food will be delivered. You'll enjoy your nice dinner, and we'll take care of everything. And they go, oh, that's great. And they come. And they bring people in. We get a list list of who all's coming and their names. We give them name tags when we get there. I come in and introduce myself, talk to them, and then talk about chiropractic. And then I tell them at the end, as a gift for coming out tonight, I appreciate you coming out, listen to what I had to say. I hope you learned something. If you'd like to have your spine checked, then if you'll schedule with Amber or Alyssa or whoever, before you leave, I will pay for that first date in its entirety. Also, I'll pay for your report findings, where I tell you what I found, if I can help you, how long it'll take, and what it'll cost. That'll cost you nothing. Free, coming out for, to listen to what I have to say. And they go, okay, great. And I close like 90% of people. And they come into the office. When I get them, like when a patient comes in off the street and just goes, hey, I'm having this issue or whatever, about probably 90% of them stay for at least some care, even if they drop out after 10, 12 visits or whatever. They stay for some care. When I have them come in from a lecture, probably about 60 or 70% stay. But when I pay $400 for dinner and I get 7 new patients that stay, it's like a no-brainer, and it's so easy. I spend an hour and a half talking, which I love to do anyway. Spend a little bit of cash, and I got tons of patients, and I've educated all these other people who may or may not show up. So that's the biggest way I pull patients into my office, except for personal referrals. So that's a good one. I ordered those cool little boxes from LK Graphics. They make cool little boxes with little slide down, fancy little sheets to slide down in there. Beautiful. They're like $60. And as far as community stuff, we've done several other things. We've done some lectures in the community. We've done some, we did a weight loss challenge thing several years back, where we had patients come in and they could come in and weigh in, and we gave like $1,000 prize for whoever lost the biggest percentage of weight loss, kind of the biggest loser kind of deal. And my husband, that was before I was the doctor, and he did lectures every week. And they had to attend a certain number of those lectures, and that worked well. They came in and we had a lot of patients that, oh well, yeah, I would exercise, but I have pain. Perfect, you're in the right place. We can help you with that. And that, that was a big one that helped us. What else have we done? We do party days from time to time. We'll have parties for the community or just for our patients, and bring in food and talk to them about that stuff. And they bring their friends and family in. Sometimes we do bounce houses and stuff like that. They bring kids in and educate on that. I do some stuff at schools. I've done some classroom stuff. But I don't do a whole lot. I don't do a whole lot of advertising. Okay. Well, thank y'all again for letting me come. If you want to write it down or put it in your phone or whatever. Honestly, when I tell you I don't mind, I really don't mind. I will tell you if I mind. That's just how I am, right? My husband's the one who goes, oh, what do you want to eat? I don't care. If I say I don't care, I mean I don't care. He says I don't care, and then I go, let's go here. He goes, oh, I don't want to go there. He said, yeah. Anyway, my email is J.M. Cottingame, and it's COTTINGAME @yahoo.com. My cell phone, 580-916-2430. And my office number, 580-920-2555. If you call my office, they may be a little bit like, who are you? What do you want? What are you calling for? Is that what I mean? When was the last time you saw the doctor?
Yeah.
Do you need to make an appointment? What do you do? If you call my cell phone, if I don't answer, leave a message, because obviously I'll sometimes I'm seeing patients, so leave a message or you can text me. But if you have, hey, I want to know about this or that, or I want a form on this or that, call me, I'll help you. I really don't mind. That's what I love to do, help other doctors be successful so we can change at least your community, right? Change the world. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
I was gonna say probably next week's, I guess probably gonna be our last meeting. Just stay online, check your email for updates and all of that for things going on this try and next try. How are you? Good.
It is very good. You know, we do really well because I know we're,
Were you here when I walked in here?
He's
Or did
very,
you come in
he's
late?
the time off.
I think even after you, you're already here.
You're very
I was
welcome.
gonna say I didn't even see you.
You're very welcome.
I'm ready.
Stop adjusting at 4 o'clock, and it's 4
What you
o'clock.
doing now?
We're coming back. That's him. You're coming back. If it's me, I'm like, yeah.
What are you doing now?
You know? We're just so sorry. He understands my personality. And the patients understand our personality.
I'm like done for the week,
But
man.
I am done,
Is that you recorded?
Yeah,
Here.
yeah, we're still recording.
I have physio,
I sit in the same,
lab
at the
personal
same
next
desk. I
week.
sit here and he sits
And
there.
I got lunch
And
now.
so we're close all the time.
Come on
But
real
we
quick.
just, we keep it.